You're welcome back, and if you're just joining us, this is Democracy and the Rule of Law coming to you live from the studio of Galaxy Television, Lagos. Now, last Tuesday, the House of Representatives passed for second reading a bill seeking to grant immunity to principal officers of the National Assembly and State Houses of Assembly. The bill, sponsored by Olusegun Odebumi, lawmaker representing Ogoluwa Surulere Federal Constituency of Oyo State, seeks to alter Section 308 and 308 of the 1999 Constitution to extend immunity to cover presiding officers of legislative institutions. Section 308 of the Constitution provides that, quote, notwithstanding anything to the contrary in this Constitution, but subject to subsection 2 of this section, subsection A, no civil or criminal proceedings shall be instituted or continued against a person to whom this section applies during his period of office. B, a person to whom this section applies shall not be arrested or imprisoned during the period, either in pursuance of the process of any court or otherwise. And C, no process of any court requiring or compelling the appearance of a person to whom this section applies shall be applied for or issued. Subsection 3 of the section spells out specifically the persons to whom the privilege of immunity from prosecution applies as the president, the vice president, governors, and deputy governors. And now, the lawmaker, Honorable Odebumi, is saying, extend this immunity to cover presiding officers of the legislative institution of government. What do you make of this? Do lawmakers, presiding officers of the legislature, is it justifiable, saying extend immunity to them?
Let me even say outrightly, when you read the Constitution thoroughly and then you look at the way the law operates and all that, do you know there is no immunity even for governors, the president and the vice president? The only reason why it appears they have immunity is because you find out the legislators at the state level are in the pockets of the governors. At the federal level too, you find out that the legislators in there and all that are beholden to the president and the vice president. In an ideal manner, if there is a misconduct, either by the president or the vice president, either by the governor or the deputy governor, all you needed to do is to write to the House of Assembly and say, look, this person had engaged in misconduct. And the Houses of Assembly are immediately expected to set up the machineries in motion to investigate such misconduct. And if the allegations are proven and all that, is to impeach the person and ask him to go and face the rigors of the law. As it were, today is just to insulate them from the distraction from people who might be bringing frivolous suits and all that will distract their attention and not allow them to really concentrate on the job of the office. That is why that Section 308 of the Constitution has always been there. Now, the legislators saying that this is already being abused by the governors now want to be part and parcel and benefit from all of that. Invariably, what they are saying is to further shut the gate of accountability to the Nigerian people. That is what they are saying. And if you see the malfeasances that takes place in those places and all that, either in terms of the salaries and allowances that they award for themselves, either in terms of what they put into the budget, which they are not, either in terms of constituency projects and what have you and all that, which is some of these principal officers who are the brain behind some of these things and all that. If you now have such immunity in the Constitution, when the Constitution is amended and all that, how do you call them to account?
All right. Thank you very much, Now, in January 27, 2018, President Muhammadu Buhari assented to the Legislative House Power and Privileges Act to provide protection for decisions taken by members of the parliament in the country. The law grants the legislative houses in the National Assembly and State House of Assembly immunity from litigation for actions taken in plenary or committee proceedings of the House or committee level. The law also strengthens the power of the legislators to carry out their law-making functions. This includes power to summon any person to appear before her, give evidence, as well as power of an officer of the legislative house to arrest any person who commits an offense against the act. Now, the question, what further immunity we have this law act already. What further immunity do the lawmakers, presiding officers really need, Barrister Temoko?
Yes, let's quickly look at it. Malane Senior just mentioned the fact that there is no immunity to even some of these executive persons, and I quite agree with that. And look at it. If not for the compromise of some of these our legislative bodies, particularly in the states, impeachment of a governor or a deputy governor is a process that could easily be carried out. Even above on the vindictive nature of an opposition house, when majority of the members of the House of Assembly is not in the ruling party. Apart from that kind of vindictive tendency of saying that, look, it's not in our party, we want to find fault and impeach him. Let us even agree they are in the same party. In the principal system of our governance, to impeach a governor who has obviously committed an act that the people have seen to be an impeachable offense is easier than to recall a legislation in Nigeria. Now, if they have immunity, that immunity is to protect them in the course of their duties while they are sitting governors or deputy governors. But once they are impeached, the process of law could be activated against them to call them to justice. But in Nigeria, I have heard of governors who have been impeached. I don't know. I'm very young. I've not heard of an easy recall.
Remember the case of Dino Melaye, the recent one, yeah?
So now, if a governor can be impeached to be prosecuted, but you cannot be recalled because of the cumbersome process.
Yes.
So you now say you now want that immunity is impunity. It is criminal against the people. We can impeach a governor and say because we want to prosecute him, having seen what he has done. But in your case, the process of recall in the constitution, except it is amended, is very cumbersome to the extent that it's almost impracticable. You now want to have immunity to the extent that even when you commit, even when something that is so glaring, we cannot recall you, then we can also prosecute you. It is criminal. They can't. Now, if it is about their pronouncements, the Buhari's immunity is universal, is global, it's in all countries. Activities of the legislators in the course of the activities in the parliament, they have immunity. They can say the governor didn't do well, he was dating. Look, if it is the truth, it is the truth. But it is different from a parliamentarian stabbing a fellow parliamentarian to death in the parliament. Buhari's immunity rather, and all of those immunity in France, US does not cover that, because that is not part of their legislative duties. But in the course of their duties, a legislator should have the courage to say the president didn't do well. He went to France to embarrass us. So you cannot now say, no, somebody, a party member, I want to sue him because he has defamed the president. That is the immunity that Buhari envisaged, that is universal. But it should end at that. This immunity clause, immunity bill you are bringing to say that principal officers, who are principal officers? Are they not legislators that are elected by people? Yes, if you are, and your position is not permanent, the leadership of the house can change 20 times within a year. If that is the situation, then you are just a parliamentarian like all others. Which immunity are you looking for? Particularly because of the process of recall that's almost impracticable. You cannot be recalled. You still believe you cannot be punished when you commit an offense. People should rise against this bill. The culture of protest has been killed in the country. Otherwise, people will be in the street now calling them names.
All right, what is next for this bill? Actually, it has passed second reading. Is to go through public hearing for Nigerians to either accept or reject it. The Speaker of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, actually opposed it, saying he's not a party to this particular bill, though it is left for Nigerians to say otherwise. Let's look at this from this angle. Could the bill have arisen from the crisis that engulfed the 8th National Assembly? We know what Bukola Saraki went through at the Code of Conduct Tribunal and all that. But even at that, did it stop Bukola Saraki from actually carrying out his legislative duty, Barrister Benjamin?
Well, this is the clear manifestation of the intention of our legislators, that they are not there for Nigerians. When they have been voted into power, what they do is that they go there gallivant, do whatever they want to do, And then when it is time for re-election, they will run back to Nigerians and start promising them all manner of things. That is number one. Number two, in a country like Nigeria, where poverty on a daily basis is on the increase, in a country like Nigeria, where insecurity has assumed an unspeakable dimension, where a country where health facilities, our health facilities are in shambles, our legislators does not see anything else to legislate on to improve the lives of Nigerians. What they are thinking about is how to protect their interests. This is a very, very glaring case of the attitude and the intention of our legislators. They are not there to protect Nigerians. Now, we have currently, look at what is going on in the country. Things are not going the way it should, and our legislators are quiet. Look at the incompetence being displayed at the governance level, both at the national and even the states. Our legislators have decided to keep quiet. They are oppressing Nigerians, killing Nigerians. Nigerians are dying on a daily basis. The only thing they are thinking of is how to legislate to protect their interests and how to safeguard their own interests. The House of Reps recently had proposed to spend over 5 billion naira on the purchase of cars. Now, we have innocent motors in Nigeria here. Our legislators are not thinking of how to buy made in Nigerian goods or made in Nigerian cars. They are thinking of how to import brand new Toyota cars, Camrys, SUVs. And when you tell them, they will tell you, oh, how do you want us to execute our oversight functions? How do you want? They are not legislating on how Nigeria should restructure the parliamentary, the National Assembly in view or with vis-a-vis the resources available to us.
Yeah.
They are not thinking of how to move Nigeria forward. They are only thinking of how to protect their pocket, to protect their principal officers. I mean, that is a shame.
Well, like I said, the onus now lies on Nigerian civil society organizations to either accept or reject this particular bill. Our time is spent. What are your final thoughts before we wrap up this show? Abarisa Timoko.
Yes, Nigerians should not be discouraged. Like this House of Representatives bill, we have to rise up and fight against it. When it's going to come to the stage of public hearing, they should be thoroughly trashed. Nigerians are not fools. They are taking us for fools. They should be trashed. We are against it. Nigerians are against it. That is the vote of the people.
All right, Barrister Kolawole.
Well, since 1999 now, we've been talking about the jumbo salaries and allowances that they've been allocating to themselves. And the legislators have kept, I've never been able to do anything about it. So, this is an opportunity for the Nigerian people to, like Comrade Tomoko said, that to come out and say, look, enough is enough. Right. The resources are just not there. And the little that are there, we were talking just recently, the governor of Ogun State is celebrating that he has cleared 9 months' salary. Cleared 9 months, you didn't pay people 9 months' salary? Oh my God. So, the Nigerian people should make sure that they participate in the public hearing and then make their minds know without mincing words.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, for coming on today's show. It was a beautiful one. March 2 is set for the review of the Imo and Zamfara election cases, and we'll see what comes up from that particular review, and we'll return to this table to discuss these issues. Thank you, our viewers at home, for joining us on today's edition of Democracy and the Rule of Law. Join us next week, Sunday, 1 p.m. is take-off time. And you'll be sure to have a great time on the show. My name is Judith Urenwa. Have a great week ahead.